here's the first look ahead. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to look ahead at Module B a little bit here. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to write everything that I'm going to write in red. The stuff in black you don't have to write down. Of course you can, and I would be so impressed if you did so, but you don't have to write that stuff down. First thing I want to do, though, is I just want to take a look at the goals, what we're going to be looking at Module B. And this module is a little bit intimidating sometimes to students, but actually I think this module is easier than Module A. So hopefully that gets your hopes up here. We're going to look at multiplying fractions, dividing fractions, estimating answers using fractions, and the tough one, solving real-world problems using fractions. And of course, this is the one that FCAT really likes to focus on. Today, we're just going to look at really two things. One thing we're going to look at is how to multiply fractions. And something I think I should have done a little more of on Module A that I'm going to focus on more on here is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start off with the word problems. Okay, and the test is mostly word problems. So we're going to look at how to do it, and go ahead and copy that for me right there. Here I got a word problem. Joe had half of a candy bar. He gave half of his half to Rachel. How much of the whole candy bar did Rachel get? So I'm going to do the things I usually do. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to circle the stuff I need. So Joe had half of a candy bar. He gave away half of his half. Okay? And the question is, how much did Rachel get? That's really the important stuff I need to know. We had this much. We gave away this much of it. And the question is, how much did Rachel get? Okay, well, this is actually a multiplication problem. And one of the things we've talked about a little bit before, but I want to continue talking about, is of equals multiplication. And vice versa, too. Multiplication remember, the dot means multiply. Multiplication equals the word of also. It goes back and forth, and I'll show you how this works. And let's go ahead and solve this. So I have half of the candy bar. So if he gave her half of his half, well, it's going to equal, let's see, when I'm multiplying is actually the easiest operation to do with fractions. When I want to multiply, I need to multiply the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. 1 times 1 is 2 times 2 is 4. Now, I have my answer. Rachel got 1/4 of the candy bar. And if we think about it, we think about a candy bar, and it said that Joe only started with half of it. So he only had this much. And if he breaks that in half, we can see that this smaller portion right there, that's going to be 1/4. So he's broken it into quarters there. And we can kind of see visually how that works. Now, here's the weird thing. We are multiplying, but we actually got an answer that's smaller when we multiply. That doesn't happen when we're multiplying a whole number by a whole number, but it can happen if I'm multiplying by a fraction or a decimal. And we talked a little bit about this in the previous module. But here's the question I really want you to understand the answer to. Why is the answer less even though we multiplied? Well, here's the reason. The answer can be less because fractions are less than 1 whole. So if I think about something like 5 times 3, 5 times 3 would mean 5 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 5. So 5 times 3 would be 5, 5, 5, like that. Well, fractions work differently, okay? Fractions work more like this up here. When I'm doing half of a half, I have only half of a group of half. So you take half, and then you only have half of that, because multiplication is of. So this is half of 1/2, and this is actually would represent our answer right there. Okay, so when we're multiplying by fractions or decimals, we may get an answer that is less than 1/2. Now here's what I want you to do. This is just a preview of multiplying decimals, and it's the first one. We're going to do previews of the other stuff. What I would really like you to do is I would like you to bring this to school for me, and I am going to ask you to hold this up. I'm going to check your name off to give you credit so that I know that you watched the video, so I can give credit to people who watched it. Thank you very much.